Remnant 2 has a long list of special effects that can be applied to the player, and the majority of them result in a small icon appearing somewhere on your screen. Given the majority of these come from player buffs, it made me wonder, what is the maximum number of on-screen icons you can have at once? The first step is to maximize the amount of time for fitting in all the effects, and there are a lot of traits that help with this. We've got potency for consumable duration, affliction for status duration, chakra for mod duration, and gifted for skill duration. Glutton and flashcaster increase our animation speeds, and insight plus expertise help with our mod and skill recovery. It also helps to invest in amplitude to increase AoE sizes, as there are a few specific icon sources that benefit from it. For most sources this is good enough, but consumable duration in particular needs to be focused on since there are a lot of consumables with very short durations. These can be boosted a bit further with the Ring of the Castaway and having the fragments equipped on you and your prism. Combined with potency, this makes our items last 190% longer, which for context means a 20-second consumable now lasts just under a minute. Next, the archetype combination with the most icons is Alchemist and Explorer. By having Alchemist as the primary, our concoction limit increases from 1 to 4, and using Mudtooth's snake oil makes it 5. All 3 of the Alchemist skills add another icon dependent on which you choose, and using a relic grants a random 1-minute buff. Certain relics with durations also grant an icon, the longest of them being Decayed Heart with 30 seconds. Explorer provides 2 additional icons upon relic use, and its Gold Digger skill generates springs that provide one of 4 different buffs with 4 different icons, plus the haste icon if you don't have another source already. The type of fountain you dig up is initially random, but the game prioritizes spawning an equal number of each, meaning you'll get every effect after 4 uses. Moving on to consumables, the majority of them can be obtained in Ward 13 by talking to the merchants. Mudtooth sells all the concoctions, though the specific types you use don't really matter apart from the snake oil. Dr. Nora sells all the medicinal items, and you'll buy everything from her inventory except for bandages. Dwell provides the processed koara, so you'll need to get yourself some koara pellets from Geisha beforehand. Reggie sells the remaining items, which consist of 8 consumables and a black tar grenade to throw on the ground. Every single item here provides an icon, with Sweet Leaf and Light Extract providing 2 if you don't already have a source of Bulwark or Haste respectively. You can also buy the All-Seeing Eye from him if you completed the questline on another character, otherwise you'll have to get it the normal way. The final item to acquire is any type of Thane fruit, so hopefully you've already got the tree growing in the ward. Before moving on to equipment, it's actually possible to gain 3 more icons through cheat death mechanics. Challenge's Die Hard Prime perk has a cooldown icon for 10 minutes, making it ideal for the first step. Meanwhile, Black Cat Band and Elixir of Life need to be done together midway through, having a cooldown of 2 and 3 minutes respectively. The easiest way to activate them is by throwing pipe bombs at yourself, and afterwards you can swap the ring and skill for another option. That said, it's very important to do these before eating the Thane fruit, as for some reason the fruit and Elixir of Life will activate at the exact same time. The 3 rings to always have equipped are going to be the Breach Accelerator, Colkit Eyelet, and Rock of Anguish, since they are always active and have infinite duration. Ring of the Castaway gets swapped to Black Cat Band for the activation, and then later traded for the Atonement Fold since it's both another infinite duration icon, and it adds some variety to icon locations. For melee, we start out with the Gas Giant, and we'll be using it for its special effect to apply corrosion on ourselves. Afterwards, it gets swapped to the Wrathbringer to utilize the built-in buff granted upon taking damage. It will be equipped with the Executioner Mutator, providing another infinite duration buff while affected by a status condition. Our ranged primary is initially going to be any weapon you can change the weapon mod on, and equipping the Creeping Mist mod to it. While this mod doesn't do anything initially, for some reason unequipping the weapon leaves the mist in effect, and now it applies a debuff to all allies in the cloud. It gets swapped to the Monorail, as by using the Runed Heart relic with Insight, it is just enough regen to gain back a charge, adding 1 more icon. Monorail will be equipped with the Hidden Power Mutator due to easy activation, and it's another infinite duration source. The secondary also requires the ability to change weapon mod, and in this case we specifically want Stasis Beam. This time the icon comes from the Mutator, as a stasis beam costs just enough to activate a max level spirit healer mutator. However, unlike with all other mutators, this one doesn't simply refresh duration on use, instead generating an additional icon and timer for every single charge spent. Stasis beam has 30 charges, so that means we get 30 icons. We can amplify this effect dramatically by equipping the Power Trip legendary perk along with mod regen sources. The former doubles our mod charges to 60, and both the Insight trait and Fairy Needle add 1 charge each by the time the mod stops firing. It's also another opportunity to use the Runed Heart, which adds a guaranteed 7 additional charges on use. To push it further, there's the Root of the Vaunt amulet, which both adds an icon and provides a 20% chance to not use a mod charge on activation. Used with a guaranteed 69 charges, on average it should result in a total of 83 icons, with the potential for even more with good RNG. The final step is to take the build into boss rush and get 5 different pillar buff types. These provide 1 icon on the bottom and 5 more located underneath the map. The only type you're required to obtain is Frantic for skill cooldown reduction, and this needs to be maxed out at 5 stacks or your skills take too long to regenerate for this process. Once you've got it, find a quiet spot before or after a boss, stand near a wall you can throw pipe bombs at, and start stacking the buffs. It took a few tries, but here is the result from my best attempt. Though it lasted only a brief moment, this is what it looks like when you have 151 icons at once. This is mostly due to good RNG on Spirit Healer, managing 98 mod uses. Sadly, after recording this video, I realized there's a strange glitch with Decayed Heart, where this combination of actions often removes the effect earlier than intended, but not always. So we could have potentially had 152 had I chosen a different relic to use. Either way, I think it's safe to say this is the maximum icons possible outside of statistically impossible RNG. Or at least, it's the maximum you can apply to yourself. I specifically said that the goal was achieving the maximum number of icons visible on screen. And if you thought the previous value was impressive, I am now going to triple it. All it requires is a little help from these guys. Skill-based summons are special in that they all get their own individual health bars, displaying the skill's icon as well as a window listing all the buffs applied to said summon, which are included in our total. The optimal combination is a summoner and handler using the root flyer and support dog skills. We also equip the soulmate legendary perk, which results in having 4 active minions at once. This change does result in losing the prior archetype buffs, as well as 2 cheat death mechanics due to kinship getting in the way. In exchange, we get 3 icons from Summoner's Prime perk, 4 icons from Support Dog's passive healing AoE, 10 icons from Support Dog being activated, and 4 icons from using a relic. I'll also count the 4 icons on the health bars, since you can argue having a summon is technically a buff, and I'll also add the icon indicating the dog's current task, since it appears alongside all the other dog buffs. Most of the initial strategy remains the same, except that things like Creeping Mist and Black Tar affect everyone instead of just the player. But there are 2 significant changes. The first is that we can exchange the Black Cat ring for Timekeeper's Jewel. Gas Giant's corrosion can already affect all allies, but we can also throw Twisting Wounds onto our primary gun to apply 80 seconds of bleed to every summon. For this to work though, you'll need to exchange Flashcaster with Rugged and downgrade both your primary gun and Gas Giant so that you don't accidentally kill your minions. I also considered working the Charged Wounds mutator in alongside this, but even with these changes, the damage was too high and the duration was too short for it to be usable. The second change is that because we have Soulmate, we revert back to the standard 30 charges on Stasis Beam, though it's a good trade-off since a max upgrade Spirit Healer applies its buff to every nearby ally, turning 30 icons into 150. However, there's a trick where if you have a second prism with Power Trip, let the weapon reach 60 charges, then swap back to our Soulmate prism, we still get to keep all 60 charges. The downside to this is that Reader the Vaunt's effect and mod regen do not apply until the weapon is back below 30. Regardless, that's still an average of 66 charges from Stasis Beam. This also gives us enough charges to successfully shoot all your summons with Stasis Beam. You can't apply slow, but you can activate the time freeze effect for an extra icon on each. Just be careful as the dog acts unpredictably when shot at, and may move far enough away that its passive healing aura is removed from your flyers and yourself. The final step is very simple. Look directly at your minions. Doing so for a brief moment causes their health bar to appear, along with a list of their current buffs. Normally these disappear after a few seconds of not staring directly at them, but luckily for us, these bars will not be removed while the animal is taking damage from status effects. The only downside to it is that this view merges all of the heal icons from Spirit Healer and Support Dog together, but it still adds a good few of them to our total. And now, after many failed attempts, I present to you all the most icons you've ever seen at once. By my count, I ended up with 108 icons on my bar, 80 icons for the dog, 81 icons for each flyer, a combined 34 icons above my minions, and 11 icons elsewhere on the screen. Together, it reaches a total of 476 icons, which explains the big frame rate drop near the end. This attempt also high-rolled the RNG for Reader the Vaunt, providing roughly double the expected extra charges. The downside of this being that it caused Creeping Mist to run out by the end. There was also the issue with the Decayed Heart mentioned earlier, so potentially could have gotten one more. Either way, it's an incredible amount, and if I were to include other players, I estimate I could probably get over 1,000 icons at once, assuming there aren't any hidden limitations or the sheer amount doesn't outright crash any of our games. I considered doing it if there were any interest in seeing the outcome, but quite frankly, I've already found the answer I was looking for from this experiment. With this data, I have everything I need to calculate Remnant 2's strongest attack possible. Video on that will be coming soon. But until then, you best be on your way.